of money for this video like a few years back. So anytime I have the opportunity to show it and get some more eyeballs on it, I show it. So this is a little bit more about Thread and how we started back in 2014, 2015.
This is the story of Thread and the one wallet that started it all. It's a story of love and adventure. And murder most foul.
Murder?
Okay, not murder, but it involves a surfer, Broccoli, a beautiful girl, her sewing machine, and this guy.
Ooh, carry on.
No, sorry, not that guy. This guy, Colby. And one day he wiped out. Big time.
Big time.
You see, Colby had a problem. He had too much stuff weighing him down.
Not anymore, he doesn't.
He salvaged some of his stuff, but not his dignity. Colby naturally needed a better way to carry his
Language. There's kids in this video.
Every wallet he found online was a boring, fat brick that would totally kill his vibe. And so he wandered, heavily burdened, without a purpose and without a wallet, until he found himself at the local Foodland, where he saw something that would forever change his life.
A beautiful woman?
No, a clump of broccoli, bound by a rubber band. And he took that rubber band and left.
Without paying for it?
And without the girl. You see, he can't meet the girl until he gets his stuff together.
And that's what he needed the rubber band for.
So he could get all his stuff together in one tidy place. And he realized he didn't need that much stuff. And now it could fit in his pocket easily. Nothing fell out, and he was never tempted to put anything in there he didn't really need. Now he had everything he needed to carry on. Playing soccer, getting frozen yogurt, skateboarding, getting frozen yogurt, surfing, and getting frozen yogurt. It was a pretty good solution.
Until it wasn't.
You really should do something about that.
So he did.
That thing literally looks like poop.
But it held together.
Did it?
Fortunately, that's when he met the girl, and he realized that they could make something special together because she had
That smile.
a sewing machine.
I totally have a sewing machine.
So they finally went out?
Not exactly.
He didn't.
Well, technically, they both did. They went back to her room and made wild, passionate wallets.
So many wallets.
Tons of wallets. Did I mention that she was living with her parents?
I think they're making wallets.
But they weren't done yet.
We're not done yet.
That's perfect.
Trust me.
And he did trust her. And it got perfecter. And everywhere they went, they took their cool minimalist wallets and sold them at the farmer's market and at the local surf shops. And they sold like hotcakes.
Cool minimalist hotcakes.
And because they were minimal, they could take them on adventures. To the beach, to the mountains. Wherever they went, they could grab them and go. They could take them anywhere, even to Provo.
Provo, Spain?
Provo, Utah, where they got married and made more wild, passionate wallets and started a wild and passionate family and built a wild and passionate company focused on helping you live a life unencumbered.
Wow. This kind of makes me want to get my together.
You mean stuff. Remember the kids? Now everything Thread makes is beautifully designed to simply carry your things. Carry it in your pocket or on a lanyard. Hold your lip balm or your AirPods. Whether you're a surfer, a skater, an artist, athlete, an adventurer, or an old boring couple who sometimes just wants to stay at home and watch TV.
We only do that some of the time.
So if you or anyone you know needs to get their stuff together, go to Thread Wallets and get your stuff together and live the wild and passionate life you were meant to live.
Hey, this is starting to sound kind of like a commercial.
Well, is it working?
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for humoring me. Mindy, thank you for the laugh. I appreciate that. So this is our story in a nutshell. And a lot of times when I give speeches or talk about our story, I go into more depth. But you guys aren't here to listen to me talk about our story. You're here to listen to me talk about marketing, which, if I'm being honest, I feel major imposter syndrome today because I have been slightly out of touch with our company's marketing since I stepped back in 2021. So I still show up at executive meetings and I'm there when we have big marketing initiatives like reanalyzing our customer profiles, things like that. I show up and I try to participate, but I'm not in the weeds like I used to be. Let's see if I can get this to move forward.
This is the story of Thread and the
You guys
one
want to watch
wallet
it again? Get another view on YouTube? Okay, so this is the early days at Thread. This is my husband and I. We can't see me. I'm always the one taking the pictures. Sewing our wallets in the very early days of Thread. So this was beginning of 2015. We would do it. We did it for a while out of my parents' house, which is where you can see the piano. And then we finally got into our own little space, and then we did most of it out of the crawl space, which was like this tiny little dungeon. And you have to heat press our wallets. Sorry, I'm going to be moving around because I don't like to just stand still. We'd have to heat press our wallets, which meant we would print paper, cut the paper, heat press the paper onto cut elastic. Then my husband would come upstairs and I would sew the wallets. So it was this huge process. And I'm so grateful that we're not doing that anymore. This is kind of the story of Thread in a nutshell. My husband and I started ideating it in 2014. We moved in with my parents and we were working on it out of their house. Finally got on Shopify. We've seen momentous growth, yada, yada, yada. Things have been going really good. This is how we talked to our customers back in the day, right here. We did a lot of farmers markets and pop-up shops, and now we do most of it through Shopify, online, Amazon. We have wholesale accounts nationwide and up into Canada. We're meeting with Japanese distributors next week. So differences, right? Like talking to our customers face-to-face here versus not really interacting with them as much. But if you kind of go back to this previous slide, things have been going good. And then how many of you guys have a product company online right now? Any of you? Okay, I don't know if you're seeing this trend, but this is what running an online e-commerce product company feels like right now. Have you guys seen Breaking Bad? Or just like everything you know is just blown up. Like running ads is hard and it's getting more expensive and it's not working like it used to be. Retailers aren't buying product as much as they used to be. So there's a lot of headwinds that we're up against, and it oftentimes feels like this, like just getting blown up and what is going on. Which is why I think it's so important to hone in on your customer profile. And this is something that at Thread we have had to revisit time and time and time again. And I think in the past, we get comfortable. We'll be like, okay, we've really got our customer dialed. This is who we think it is. And then we just kind of like glide by. And sooner rather than later, you have a moment like this where everything's blowing up in your face and e-commerce isn't working like it used to. And you're like, okay, man, when we started, our cost per acquisition was $4 and now it's almost 30. You know what I mean? Like just so wild. So customer profile, knowing who your customer is, being dialed in on who they are, what they do is so important. And we did this at the beginning of the year because of all the economic headwinds that we've been facing as a business. Things are still going great, but we're like, we really need to make sure that we're all aligned on our customer. So this is very simple stuff, right? It's like if you talk to anyone who's been in business for a while, they're going to say like, oh yeah, customer profile. You should know what your customer profile is. But it's important whether you're starting out and you're just ideating and you're trying to figure out where you want to take your business and figure out who your customer is. And it's important if you've been in business for 10 years or 20 years. You need to know your customer and how to speak to them. So what is a customer profile? A customer profile is a detailed description of your ideal customer. It provides demographic information such as age, gender, income, education, and location, as well as their behaviors and interests. Duh, right? Like I think we all could probably have summed that up. But why does this matter? Like even for a company like Thread who's been in business for 10 years, we've been on the Inc. 500 twice. Like things have been going really well. Things are still, moving in the right direction. But why does this matter? Like why does it matter for you whether you're starting a business? I just met with two young girls this past week who started a company they just launched in 500 Target stores. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're called Sadie B. They're wonderful. But I just met with them this past week, and we talked about this. And so many of the things that I was saying were light bulb moments for them. Like, oh, yeah, of course, because you're so heads down in the weeds, right? As running a business, trying to figure out where to take your email and SMS and whether you should run a billboard campaign or not, or what stores you should open with wholesale accounts, like all these things. There's a lot of that goes into running a business. So why does this matter? A customer profile gives you insights into the needs, preferences, and behaviors of your target audience, which is so important to know. You can't know where to be, opening stores. You can't know what colors your audience is gonna like. For us, like we need to be dialed and know like what trends are young girls following. I'm gonna show you some information about should have someone pass around like an NDA. give some insights into like who our customer is. But like if you don't know these things, you cannot target your customer, which I'm sure you've heard it, but you can't be everything to everyone. You need to niche down and really focus on your customer. So this is what is the benefit of having a dialed customer profile. Improved customer experience. You're going to know how to talk to your customers. You're going to know how to take care of them. You're going to know how to help them, and you're going to know how to make them happy. You're going to have better targeting for ads, retail locations, wholesale accounts, international expansion, whatever it is. Like you will have better insights into that. Higher LTV and increased customer retention if you know who your customer is and how you should be speaking to them. And then you're going to make better informed decisions as a company if you know who your audience is and how you should be talking to them. So how do you create a customer profile? Before we dive into this, I think they're recording. I didn't know that. But I kind of want to hear from a few of you what businesses you guys are a part of or what you're running. So would any of you mind telling me? Anyone? I see you smiling. What do you do? Okay. Cool, awesome. So you definitely need to know who your target customer is, and then you need to be knowing if you're doing it for other marketing agencies, you need to know who they're targeting as well, which makes it probably kind of complicated. Yeah. Cool. Cool. So you know it. Yeah. Okay, who else? Anyone else want to be brave here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love that. Okay. Okay, awesome. So I'm sure both of you guys have very specific customers, especially with spas. There's going to be a particular price point that your customer is willing to spend money on, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, back here. Okay. Cool. So you also have there would be a wider range in terms of like gender, both male and female probably, but like who you're trying to attract as students. Okay. Cool. Awesome. So it's important for you to be dialed in on that customer, huh? Okay. Anyone else? I think this is so interesting because a lot of it varies from what I do and with who our customer is. Because everyone loves cookies. Yeah. Yeah, which is hard because you, in theory, can't be everything for everyone, but maybe crumble is the one thing that can be for everyone. Okay. Awesome. So how do you create a customer profile? And you guys have probably visited this so many times within your organizations, but again, I think it's so important to revisit and revisit. We just did a customer profile survey, which I'll show you some of the results, probably about a month ago, and I texted our chief brand officer last night, and I was like, when are we doing another one? Because I already have new questions that I want to be asking our customer. So we're going to try to aim to do them maybe quarterly now, and then we also have a customer feedback survey that goes out to every one of our customers that's purchased, where we get feedback on who they are and why they bought and all those things. So how to create a customer profile? Let's dive in. Okay, this is one thing that I tell people when you're starting out, and even if you're starting out or you're 15 years into business, if your brand were a person and they walked into this room right here, right now, what would they be wearing? What music would they be listening to? Where would they be going to dinner tonight? What show are they binging? What was the most recent social media app they used? What job are they coming from? Every one of these questions and so many more are questions that you can be asking to know exactly who your customer is. And if you haven't answered all these questions, you should. And if you have answered questions like these or others, What are other questions that you could ask? Especially if you're in a position like me where, okay, online is getting harder and harder for us. Where are other places? Because we want to meet our customer where they're at. Where are other places our customer is hanging out? Where are they spending their time, and how can we meet them there? So the first step is to collect data. And this is a screenshot from a customer survey. We just used Google Forms that we sent out about a month ago. And we've, in the past, just sent them out about once a year. So this is a really great way to collect data. We had over 1,000 responses. But if you're small, try to get 50. Try to get 300. Try to get enough responses in correlation to how many emails you have or how many followers you have on Instagram to understand the data and see a bigger picture. Okay, so these are some questions that you can ask in these surveys. On top of the ones that I already suggested, you know, what are you binge watching? You can ask that, but you can also ask, what is your highest level of education? That's a great one. Where do you consume the majority of your media content? Are you spending a lot of time on YouTube? Are you spending a lot of time on TikTok? For us, Instagram, where is that? What is your favorite genre of music? What are your favorite stores to buy clothing at? That's something we want to know. If we're getting feedback that our customer spends a ton of time at Target or a ton of time at Walmart, we don't, you know, in the past it's kind of like, oh, we want to stay away from Walmart. But if our customer's shopping at Walmart, we probably need to start having discussions about what that could look like. What do you enjoy doing most in your free time? A lot of these are more open-ended, and a lot of them are pretty clear-cut, right? What's highest level of education? That's going to be a very specific answer. What do you enjoy doing in your free time? Might vary, and you might get a wide range of things, but it's going to bring some really valuable insights for you and your team. So these are some ideas of how you can collect data. Survey. So surveying sent to like your email list, SMS list. Those are things that we rely on time and time again. Social media, posting it on your Instagram stories with a swipe up link. Things like that. Google Analytics, diving into that and then comparing what you're getting on the results to what you're seeing on Google Analytics. Or ad performance. Has there been an ad set that's worked really well for you and has brought in a ton of new customers? Where was that ad being served? Who was that ad being served to? Look at that data. And then a feedback program, like we have at Thread, where we send after every time someone has completed a purchase, they get sent a survey to give us feedback about a plethora of things. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. So the second part to having building out your customer profile is to analyze the data. So every time we go over or we send out a customer feedback survey, we meet as a brand department and then as an executive team, and we pour over the data that we've received. So, okay, this is one question that we asked. What of the following are you interested in and or influenced by? Media and entertainment, outdoor recreation, action sports, traditional sports, food and dining, beauty, health and wellness, pets and animals, politics and news. This was an interesting one because it's the I'll give you an example of how this helps determine the decisions you're making. It's 2024. We've got an election cycle come up. One thing that we were brainstorming is doing like a big, almost like political campaign for our wallet where it was like, make your wallet great again or something, you know, and doing a spoof on like what a political campaign would be. And we were talking about it. We were kind of all getting excited. We do our customer feedback survey or customer profile survey, politics and news. Very few people in our audience, surveyed over 1,000 people, care about politics and news. So that's not going to resonate with them. That's a type of marketing decision that we were like, okay, as fun as that seemed to like build out a narrative for that and like a whole marketing campaign, we're not going to put our time and our money there. So you analyze the data and then make decisions off of that. Oh, don't know why that happened. This is another analyzing the data. This is on gender. So this is the customer profile survey that we sent out on our email and SMS list, which is 91% or almost 92% of our audience is female based on this survey that we sent out. And then compare that to Instagram. Down here, it's 88.7% women. So around 90% of our audience on both of those platforms are telling us that they're women. So we need to listen to that and we need to dive into that, which again has been brought up a lot of really important and sometimes hard conversations in our business because my husband, when we started out, he is huge into action sports, loves snowboarding, loves skating, wanted this wallet to be a men's wallet. He was like, this is going to be for men. Like, I know this is going to be for men. And then when I started using it, I was like, no, this is going to be, like, women are going to love this. And there's always kind of been this, like, push and pull of, like, let's market more to men. Let's market more to men. Like, maybe we could, like, get them this time. But the data says every time we've sent out a customer feedback survey, anytime we've even tried to dive into the male demographic on social media by putting out, like, a more male-centric campaign, it still shows us this type of data. I think so, but I mean, a lot of it is that the women are our customers, and it's just who it is. As we've been in business for 10 years now, and it is the women who buy. It is every one of our ad campaigns, even if we gear the ad campaign towards men, it just does not perform the way that our ad sets and ad campaigns and content performs with women. Okay, so based on the data that you have, you're going to create a customer persona. And this is where we have Threads customer persona coming in. So this got cut off up there. I'm so sorry. But this is Hannah. And this is our recalibrated. We just did this in January of this year, or January, February of this year. This is who our customer is based on all of the data that we received. So her name is Hannah. She's free-spirited, fashionable, social, reliable, conservative. She's not super risky. That doesn't speak necessarily to her politics, but more like her personality. Brand affinity, she loves Free People, Urban Outfitters, Target, Old Navy, boutiques, H&M, Levi's, Converse, Amazon, Lululemon, Nike, and Pura Vida. All of these, a lot of them Target, Old Navy, H&M, a little bit more budget friendly. So, okay, we're going to make decisions about our product pricing based on where we know she shops. We can have some really cool collaborations, right? We just did one with Free People that launched last year, and we have another reboot of it coming up this year that we're launching a product with them that's going to be really cool. What she likes, I like that our brand director put likey. She likey fashion, pop culture, adventures, experiences. She's health conscious. When we did our survey, very few of our customers like drinking and going out to the club. They'd prefer to do like yoga, things like that. So she likes to listen to podcasts, and she loves Amazon deals. No likey is politics, news, clubbing or partying, investing. Doesn't like investing. That's one thing we learned. And no junk food. So this is our customer persona, and we talk about her frequently. She comes up in almost every one of our meetings. How are we targeting her? How are we speaking to her? What stores are we opening up with our wholesale accounts? That is where she shops. These are all really important things that we're discussing based on who we have decided this is. So this is in a little bit more depth of what this persona looks like, Hannah. She loves activity, so more activity, more playful, we want her to have more risk because she's not as risky, right? More stylish, more experiences, more TikTok, more spontaneity, more matcha, more classic, more Snapchat, less sports, less serious, less practical, less fashionable. She's not into this high-end stuff. She likes to be out, so less homebody, less Facebook. Our demographic's not on Facebook anymore. They're on TikTok and social media, Snapchat. Less plans, opposite of spontaneity, less soda, less fast fashion, and less texting. This girl's on Snapchat. This girl's on TikTok and sending DMs on Instagram. That's where she's communicating. So this is another point. Let's see. So we have create the customer, to analyze the data, create customer persona, and then I put the wrong number on here, which is why I went back to make sure I was on the right track. This is share the data. Every single person on your team should know where your target customer lives, what they do, their gender, their income, what they do for fun, who their friend group is, if it's a sports team, if it's spas, whatever it is, what are they doing? Does their family life look like? You need to know this, and your entire team needs to know this. We haven't gotten this printed out, but our past customer profiles we've had printed out in a book that every single one of our employees is given and then can have at their desk to reference time and time again when they're making decisions and things like that. So sharing the data is crucial. Sharing the data with your team members helps create alignment and common understanding of your customer. Your team will better know what initiatives to say yes to and what initiatives to say no to. And this is huge for us because at Thread, if you go and look at the whole journey of Thread, there have been times where we're like, you know what, maybe we're going to go like a little bit more into, a lot of my husband, I mentioned it, and a lot of the other team members love skating and surfing, and they come from Southern California. So they're like, we're going to really lean into that. And you can see that at times on our feed. And you can see that there's other initiatives that we're pursuing that align with this like core surf, skate, snow demographic. But as we've analyzed the data this year, it's like, that's not really our person. So we have to recalibrate. And that has helped us because just like Crumble, I'm sure, when you think you can attract, okay, we think like everybody could use a Thread wallet. A man could use our Thread wallet. We know there are grandparents that use our Thread wallet. There are gym goers that use our Thread wallet. Like so many people can use a Thread wallet that when you're targeting everybody, you lose who your core identity is and you stop speaking to the individual and you get lost, and we have found ourselves in that situation time after time. And so going over this data, sharing it with the team, and revisiting it in every marketing meeting helps your team know what to say yes to and what to say no to, which is crucial for budgets, crucial for spending, crucial for growth opportunities. Okay, where are we gonna, we really want to open more retail or wholesale accounts right now, but are we gonna be doing that with, let's see, I'm trying to think of like a male-centric brand. I can't think of one. But like we're going to go after the Free Peoples versus a lot of the other brands because we know that that is who's or what resonates with our customer. Okay, so this is kind of the last topic, and then I want to do some Q&A. That's like my favorite part of these types of events. But have any of you guys read any of Marty Neumeier's stuff? He has a book called Zag. He has one I think called Purple Cow. He's a really great marketer and has a great mind for marketing. But I loved this quote. Every brand is running a narrative, a story in progress whose hero is the customer. If at any point the story splits into two stories aimed at two different tribes, you then have two brands. To keep the narrative together, each new feature, extension, or product use must keep something from the original direction to preserve the logical continuity. So if you want to dream up and be part of and have a lifestyle brand or whatever type of brand it is that's long-lasting and becomes a legacy, you have to know who you're speaking to. Otherwise, you're going to become two different brands, right? And we've thought, like, there have been times where it's like, do we have like a Thread men's and a Thread women's? Is there like, what do we do? There's so many times where those doors open and it's like, maybe we try to really market towards the hunters and like the Cabela's and the Bass Pro Shops, those types of things. Like maybe there's a niche there that we could win a lot of money. But it's not about that. It's about being true to who our customer is, who's buying, and then knowing how to speak to them and deliver the most value for that customer. And something that we've talked about that I didn't put in these slides because it can become a whole separate, actually, want this back up. I don't know how to run technology. Oh well. Okay, so we have, like for Crumble, this is something that we've talked a lot about, is that we have Hannah, and that is who is going to buy. But we know that she is going to influence other people. And we know that she's going to have a sphere of influence around her of people that might not be our necessarily target demographic, like her boyfriend or her mom. You know, like she might be like, oh, I love my wallet. I'm going to buy my mom and my dad Thread wallets for Christmas. But we're not speaking to her parents, we're still speaking to her. And that type of stuff is, I think, where you can really hone in on like, okay, here's who is our target customer, and maybe you have two different personas. And then understanding who is in their sphere of influence and who will be influenced by their purchasing of your product or your service. And knowing that like, oh, we're gonna have other customers, but our branding, our marketing, everything is going to be geared to this person, but we know that they will attract others. For us, we know men don't buy, but we know that girls are buying their husbands or their boyfriends our product. So we're still going to speak to that girl now over trying to speak to her boyfriend because it's just not going to resonate. So anyway, with that being said, I love this quote, and I think that really kind of brings home the importance of developing out and honing in on your customer profile. So let's open it up for Q&A. Is that okay? I'm not sure if there's anyone in here from Silicon Slopes, but I'm going to say it's okay. Okay, back there's some hands. Yeah, my husband did. So he has been very entrepreneurial his whole life. He's loved starting businesses. He has started a few in the past, small things. Like in high school, he did a t-shirt company. In college, he developed an app. And then he was in that, $20,000 and was like, this is not where I want to spend my time. It's very time consuming and needs a lot of money. And so he really wanted to focus on consumer goods, which is so fun because you can actually see someone using it in person. So he's had a very entrepreneurial background, studied business and entrepreneurship in college. I didn't. I went to BYU Hawaii and I studied international cultural studies, and my emphasis was in mediation and conflict resolution. So I had no business background, but I think as I've analyzed what drew me to marketing and building a business is I think that it's this narrative building. When I was in conflict resolution, it's all about creating connective stories and to bring peace or to successfully mediate with someone who's in conflict. It's helping them find what they're connected on and what they can bring to the table together to have a better marriage or a better community, whatever it is. And that's what marketing is. It's helping your customers connect to an idea and helping them feel like they've found a tribe and community. And I think that's why I gravitated towards the marketing. But everything that I've done has just been self-taught. Love YouTube and podcasts and books. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. I would my personal and you could probably find a lot of variants of this if you were to go online or what other marketing professionals would say, but I would say limit it to less than 5 and under. 3 probably the sweet spot. If I were to pull up this deck that we've built for our customer profile, you'll see that we have different archetypes of who Hannah is. So we have the beachy Hannah. Okay, what does Hannah look like in Southern California? This is what she's going to look like there. What's Hannah going to look like here in Utah when she's living in the mountains and it's December 15th? What's she doing here in Utah? So we have these different archetypes. Okay, what does Hannah look like if she's in the city? She lives in San Francisco or New York. What does that look like? Because she'll be doing different things and spending her time in different ways than those who are in Southern California. But there's significant overlap with who they are. And if you sat this version of Hannah down with this version of Hannah and this version of Hannah, they'd have a great time and they'd be best friends. So you don't want to stray too far from each other, right? You can't have one all the way over here and all the way over here and find success somewhere in the middle, I don't think. But I would say, 3 to 5 is probably where you could be for something like KSL or Crumble, where you have a vast audience. But then I think where the power comes, and again, this is me speaking, is understanding the sphere of influence that each of those people have. Yeah.
What tools have you guys deployed outside of what look like Google Forms
Yeah.
to measure, collect, analyze that data, and then deploy it?
Yeah, we use a platform called Triple Well, which is e-commerce, specifically for e-commerce companies, but it pulls in all the data from all of our different platforms. So social media, Google, email, SMS, and kind of gives us a dashboard of what our customer is spending that day, where they were buying the most from, oh, you have the most orders from New York, and that's kind of aggregating that. And then, Google Forms. We've used Qualtrics in the past, doing surveys. If you're smaller, customers, or even bigger, a simple customer survey could be on Instagram stories with the polls, right? Where do you live? Okay, have them pull it in. What's your favorite thing to do on Friday night? And just see the data that you get. There's so many resources out there. And if you're doing things like back at the beginning of my presentation where I showed that we're at farmers markets or we're at pop-ups or we had an event with Shills a couple weeks ago at their location here in Sandy, use those opportunities too to gather data about who your customer is, talk to them, and then write down notes about, oh, a lot of these, women that were in this age range were really interested in our product. I wonder if there's some sort of thing that we could do for Mother's Day, speaking to Hannah to get gifts for her mom. Like you can use all these different touch points to analyze who your customer is. Yeah.
What's been the biggest data point that's more or less made the biggest impact at Red? It seems like obviously you guys niching down has been the
Yeah.
crux point.
Yeah, I think honestly, and this is speaking pretty candidly and vulnerably, is you have a vision for what you want your brand to be and who you want it to attract, right? And even I was talking to these girls the other day at Sadie B, and in their mind, it's like, oh, we really want to target these like young girls, and like it's the girls, and I'm like, yeah, that can be maybe what your marketing messaging is, that it's for girls, but I would bet you a lot of money that it's the moms that are buying the product for their daughters. So start thinking about the moms. And for us, the hard truth was like, oh, we really want to be this like cool action sports skate like brand. And the pieces of information that are really insightful for us and game changing are like, that's not who our customer is. It's a female girl who loves TikTok and sharing funny videos with her friends and watching Stranger Things on the weekend with her buddies. Like that's, and listening to Olivia Rodrigo. She's not skateboarding, she's not surfing, and those are the hard things that like, it's really good data that you get, but it kind of keeps you in check because it's like, man, we have this vision, we really want to be this, and we want to be respected in the outdoor industry, and then it's like, oh, but that's not who our customer is, and we have to listen to that. And so I think that those pieces of data that help us really focus and kind of keep us humble and like down to earth on what we need to be doing with our business are the pieces of data that are the most impactful for us. Yeah, in the back. Yeah, so in the past, and Hannah's had transitions, like for a few years, like up until probably a year or two ago, and we've kind of been in this, like, who is our customer? Like, and we're really recalibrating. Her name was Jessica. And then as Jessica's grown up, because when we started out, it was Jessica, but that was almost 10 years ago. So Jessica is now in her 30s. Like, is that still who we're talking to? Because that's who we were talking to then. So we usually in the past have sent out these surveys probably once a year. But going forward, we're really going to try to probably do at least twice a year, just so that we're continuing to get that information and it's keeping us in check. Because I think if you don't check in on that data regularly enough, that's when you can get in your head kind of like, oh, maybe this, this surf shop in Florida is really into our stuff. Maybe that means that surfers love our stuff. But that's not really true. It's the girls that go into that surf shop and want to affiliate with that like free and easy culture that comes with surfing. So I would say send it out twice a year, maybe quarterly, and then try to have other ways that you gather feedback from your customers on a regular basis, like we do with our customer feedback survey that goes out after every purchase. And I think it asks maybe like 5 questions. How did you hear about us? Why did you buy the product? Things like that, which maybe speak a little bit more specifically to the product, but it's still gathering data about them and their shopping habits. Yeah. 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 That's a really good question. And I have to be honest that I don't know the full answer because I haven't been in those conversations with the team. I'm not going to say that I pretend that I know the answer to that. But we are partnering. We are meeting specifically with Japanese distributors. And I think that the deck that I gained took a lot of this information from our internal team is what we send to these distributors to get the meetings with them. And I think that there will be deep conversations with them about like who our demographic is, how we align with them in that country. I think we're meeting with 5 different distributors, and so we'll probably end up working with the one that's the most synergistic with what we've built and can be integrated in a very seamless way with both cultures, the culture we've built and then the culture that lives over in Japan. Other questions? Yeah, back here. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great question because I think our customer is online a lot. She's spending a lot of time on TikTok and Instagram, those types of platforms, but her buying behaviors have changed. Maybe she doesn't have as much money and that could be what's the word? A gateway or like a starting point for a conversation internally of like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with our product offering. Like, are we not offering, like, we know she's spending time online and we're getting people to the website, but people aren't converting. Is it our color is it our patterns? Is it our colors? Is it that people are tired of our product? Like, what is it that we can do to like keep things fresh for this individual? Because understanding, like I said at the beginning, understanding your target customer is going to help you with retention, right? We want her to keep coming back. So I think that's a really important thing, is to use what the information you're getting to look internally and be like, okay, are we on point with the product that we're putting out there? But then I think it's also understanding where she is in other places. We know that our customer, through the data that we've gained, the whole customer profile, she loves things like yoga and her matcha and like being outside on a bike ride with her girlfriends. So are we hosting events that align with that? We did one last year that was like a Pilates event where we invited our customers and influencers to a Pilates event. That's a great place to talk to them, right? And other events, like Shills is a really big wholesaler of ours. They are our biggest wholesale partner in terms of revenue, and we try to partner with them a lot because we know our customer is finding us there. So if they're not buying online, I think what's really fun about knowing your customer is getting super scrappy. Like, it's taking us back right now to like the early days of starting our business, where it's like we didn't have an ad budget because we weren't making a ton of money. So how are we talking to them? We were talking to them at farmers markets. I would go stand on campus at BYU and hand out wallets and talk to people about them and get their feedback, right? Those types of things. So if they're not online all the time, where else are they? Maybe it's an app. Maybe it's developing out an app, which Crumble's done a really great job with. Maybe it's sending out mailers, which is crazy, but those have performed really well for us. Like, you can get really creative and think outside of the box with the ways that you talk to your customer. Yeah, right here. Yeah. It depends because we have lots of different products right now. Oh, I couldn't give you a specific. I'm sorry. Just with the wide range that we have. Yeah, okay. Yes, and it's a process getting all of the stuff because we have so many different SKUs. So it's like been a process. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. 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 That's cool. Yeah, I know that TikTok Shop is working for a lot of people, and we have a girl on our team. Again, I'm not plugged into the weeds, so I'm so sorry. I'm like, I texted our chief brand officer last night, and I was like, I don't even know why I'm speaking at this. You should be speaking at this. I know that we have the ball rolling there. I'm just not sure where it sits right now on the hill that it's rolling down. Awesome. What other questions? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that that's where being open and very communicative with your team about your goals are. If you have multiple customers, Oh, sorry, my daughter's elementary school is calling me. Distraction. If you have multiple personas that are very different, I think that can be very confusing for your team internally, because sometimes you're like, okay, we have this marketing budget that's this, and we could spend it on so many different initiatives that align with all these different personas. So I think being really clear with your goals, like, hey, we want to increase sales with this demographic, or last quarter our sales with this demographic were really amazing. Let's keep, throwing money towards what we know is working. But if you have multiple different personas, I would try to overlap them like a Venn diagram and see what their characteristics are and things like that lie in the middle, to help find that continuity for your team, so that they're like, they have a little bit more clarity of like, oh, if this is where our budget is, this is where we're going to be able to attract the most people, because it aligns with this space in the middle of who our customer profiles are. Any other questions? I think we're done. I think it ended at what time is it? 3:30. Awesome. Well, I'll let you go, guys, then. But thank you so much. That was such a fun conversation, and good luck with all you guys are doing.